Welcome to the definitive guide to content repurposing. I often talk a lot about ads, and to be fair, this is a great channel just for that. But if you're running ads, you should probably know about organic. And if you're running organic, you should probably know how to not work nearly as hard as you probably are to get far more results than you're probably already getting, to make a flywheel that allows the deployment of creative to be not only strategic, but low effort and very, very easy to manage. Let me break down what I've been doing for brands as big as 8 and 9 figures, as well as startups that can't even afford to run ads yet. This is the formats, the tools, the process, and the workflow that I use from, well, myself and huge businesses and startups, so that you don't even need to run ads to generate revenue, and that you can spend a few minutes a day to be everywhere multiple times a day, contextually relevant, and dominate your organic social media efforts, which at the end of the day only makes your paid efforts even better. If you like what you have to do here and you're really interested in what we're talking about, please comment below with any questions that you have, and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, go ahead and subscribe there too. Set it up for auto downloads. You don't even have to listen. I'd still really, really appreciate it. Also, if you like this information and want more help, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And below down in the description here, you're going to find articles that I'm going to write for you to get deep dives into all of this stuff, plus a lot more links to other resources with ebooks and classes, webinars, and everything else that you might need. And if you are ultimately interested in leveling up your expertise executionally, if you are a Facebook media buyer and want to be a CMO, if you're a brand that's sick and tired of being taken advantage of by agencies, if you're an agency that realizes you need to change what you're doing, you're going to go out of business, join the Facebook Ads MBA program at mba.facebookdisruptor.com. Let's get started. So, when we are focusing on the repurposing of our content, we need to understand a few simple truths. Number one, what formats are we going to focus on? And generally speaking, what tools are we going to use to automate the vast majority of this workflow? So, let's start off with point number one, formats. There's generally 4 types of things that we need to keep in mind. Number one, long form, widescreen, normal landscape video. And by long form, I mean 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes or more. This is a very key part of the equation, primarily because we can chop these videos up and because there are a lot of platforms where this content can be repurposed. Number two, format-wise, is full screen vertical video, basically portrait mode. If you make portrait mode videos that are a minute or less, that is one of the most omnipresent forms of media on the internet today. Remember, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube. I mean, almost every single platform has an availability for this type of content to feel native. Number 3, articles, writing blogs, writing stuff. The things that you see down below in the description here are going to be repurposed. And I'm going to tell you about all of that example workflow a little bit later on. And then the last thing we have to be mindful of when it comes to formats is whether or not we have the ability to make things natively or not. And native feeling stuff is incredibly important, especially when you're taking something from one platform to another. So we're going to cover all of that stuff, plus the tools. Now, the tools I'm going to cover today, number one I love is Publer. Publer.io, you can put one piece of content in there, one piece of media that you can connect to your Canva or your Google Drive. Take that and you can blast it out to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you want your content to go, and it'll do it automatically with a calendar and give you back insights, and it's super cheap. There's a lot of tools that do it. That's the one that I use for my own business, for startups, and for 8-figure businesses that I'm growing. Because it's incredibly simple, it rarely ever breaks, and it provides me the ability to publish to the most options with the least amount of bells and whistles that ultimately get in the way of success. Next thing that I love to use is a tool called Repurpose.io. Now, Repurpose.io is amazing in that it'll take exactly what you have, rip it, and then if you post something, it can take it off of TikTok and sort to Google Drive without the watermarks. You can also take things and immediately repurpose them to other channels. Now, there are some issues here because you're not making things contextually relevant, so you can't edit, and the text may or may not fit. So there are some concerns, but it's an amazing tool to say if you post natively to one platform, you can then strip that and bring it right into a Google Drive, which again connects directly to Publish, so you can immediately publish it to any other platform really, really easily. And you can just copy and paste whatever words you're going to use, make a design flow that feels a lot better to each individual platform. And if you want to update things, you can absolutely pull. The other two tools that I love to use for this automation, number one, Zapier. It's been around forever. I don't use it as much anymore, but it's absolutely an opportunity if you want to take something from one place and try to put it someplace else, especially far more when it comes to articles and blog type content than it is with native video that has to be stripped and with no watermarks and with audio and all these other formatting things. The last thing that I'd like to use for this is in the content creation. A great tool that I use to automate editing and stuff is called captions.app. It's a great app. It will edit out the empty spaces in your video and put captions on the screen in a fun way that you can brand. And that means that you can start to repurpose long form content by chopping it up into minute-long sections and then take those out to other places. So we're going to talk about the process and breakdown of all of that stuff. But we'll get into that in a minute. What I want to cover right now is the understanding that when you are shooting content, when you are making content, where else can it go? So you need to have this flow chart. Now, if you're doing full screen vertical video, portrait mode, that is Pinterest idea pins. It is YouTube Shorts. Of course, it's also TikToks, Instagram, and Facebook Reels. That stuff also will go to Twitter, will go to LinkedIn. Now, it'll get cropped in some of these places, and it won't get cropped in others. Not in the full actual playback, but in the news feeds. Now, why this is really important is also the text that goes along with it is not universal. When you're putting things into YouTube, it's got a title and a description. When you're putting things into Instagram or TikTok, there's only one. So you have to understand how to make this work. Now, what I do with my assistant is I will format the actual text. So there's a block of text and then more. So generally, when he's repurposing that to other platforms, there is a little bit of logic that goes into it, like saying this is the thing that happens before something else. That is actually the title in Pinterest or the title in YouTube, and the caption or the body or the description might be the rest of it. Now, there are other places where we can put all of that in. If it's on Twitter, you might be tremendously limited on the overall characters you can use. So you can make sure that you use the headline or the title, but maybe you don't have the description. And you need to be mindful of that when ultimately putting things from one channel to another. Also, not everywhere uses hashtags. You have to be mindful of that stuff as well. Again, you can automate 90% of this workflow, but you need to be contextually relevant to each platform. But that's something that if you spent an afternoon once a week, you could plan the next week out completely. That makes it really, really easy. And with some tools, for instance, Repurpose.io, you can actually strip that stuff out with logic if you want to. Now, one of the other things that we have to talk about here is the setting up of content to be repurposed. Let's take, for instance, this exact video that you're watching right now. If you notice, I'm more or less dead center. Also, down below is a long description. Now, there's a short description to begin with, and then some links, and then a header with a 3 to 5 paragraph description done 3 times. That's for each chapter in this video. Now, that's great. But that also means that you could go full vertical video by chopping out basically either a third of this, and this type of content is now full screen vertical video friendly. And the descriptions are already written. And the headline and video title already exists because it's the name of the chapter for this video. So we're gonna cover real second and real quick the process of breaking down bigger pieces. But I want you to understand that when you are designing the content that you want to use, especially as a content creator. Now we're not just talking about fun video shoots. Now we're talking about omni-channel full workload for overall content deployment. You have to know that it's more than just pretty pictures. It's more than just UGC video. If you're going to get above and beyond just having some billboard that exists and actually have a strategy to storytell and engage and make content that people can bite into more than just something hopefully they don't ignore in their feed, you need to be mindful of how all of that works. We'll get into the process of breaking down an example workflow here in just a second. I just want to say though, if you're at this part and you like this video so far, please go ahead and smash the like button. It means a lot. Ask questions in the comments below. Remember, those tools that we covered are Publer.io. There's no E in Publer because they're fun. Repurpose.io and Captions app. And of course, Zapier if you want to use that as well. Now, before we move on, I just want to say that I know you could be anywhere on the internet right now and you've chosen to be here, and I want to make sure that that is as helpful for you as possible. So if you have questions, please ask. Also, go down below and check out the newsletter. You can subscribe for free, and so you can get stuff like this in your inbox every single week for $0. It's newsletter.facebookdisruptor.com. And find me on the socials there, and you can see the deployment timelines on my Twitter, my Instagram, my TikTok, on Reddit, on all sorts of other places. Everywhere that people are, I've got content there multiple times a day, and it takes me less than 10 or 15 minutes a day to make sure that all that happens. If you want to know more about marketing and really want to up your skill set so that you can become what you think you deserve and it's not working out for you, mba.facebookdisruptor.com. Next, what we're going to talk about here, and the purpose of content repurposing, is the process for breaking down bigger pieces to make omni-channel content look and feel native and have a deployment strategy that is easy to manage. Now, we talked earlier, the video you're watching potentially right now, if you're watching on YouTube, is a landscape full screen long form video. Maybe it's about 10 minutes or it's about 30 minutes long. Now that long form wide video, the original video is going to be about 32 to 34 minutes long. It's chopped up into chapters so that each one of those chapters is actually in itself its own 10-minute video. Down in the description, you're going to see a long article to describe all of the details. That article is broken up by the chapter name, so that when we break this video up into the little segments, so each segment can be its own video, it already has its own description. Also, in this video, for example, you'll notice that I'm primarily staying in the center of the video. I could chop off the sides on either side and make this a full screen vertical video. And when I do that, the chapter description for here on YouTube is now the title or headline for the caption, and the article that goes below it is now the rest of the caption or the description of the video or what we use in YouTube or Pinterest. Or we can put all of that together. Perhaps on TikTok, it's going to be the primary thing, then some hashtags, then the whole article written below it. And that's also going to get ported over to Instagram. Now, maybe that has to get stripped out for Twitter because of a character limit. Maybe it doesn't, and it becomes its own thread. These are things that we have to really start to be mindful of, because in the effort of recording one video that is direct to camera, straight, no cuts, 35 minutes long, I'm actually going to be making probably 20 to 30 pieces of content out of this. Every one of those things allowing me to have blogs, articles, long form video, short form video, multiple times a week on multiple platforms, all from one original thing that takes me roughly half an hour to record. So the process of breaking this stuff down is, one, you have to have a plan of how is this stuff likely to be broken down. Now, maybe you don't have a script for stuff. I don't have a script for this. But I mean, I've got a sticky note, right, with a few things to cover. Now, maybe you're doing an interview. You can go in and chop it up. Maybe you're doing a video shoot and you've got like some really curated videos. You got a 15 and a 30 and all of that fun stuff. Great, you can chop that up. Sometimes it's less educational, more salesy. You can make a 15-second, a 30, a 60, a 90-second cut. It can be wide. It can be vertical. Love it. All of that stuff works. The point is, though, focus on making the big thing that can be chopped down, because then you don't have to work nearly as hard to create all of it. For instance, in this video right now, 30 some odd minutes long, it's one 30-minute video. It'll be 3 10-minute videos. It'll be probably a dozen 1 minute or so long videos. The article below is not only going to be its own article, but it'll be a blog. And then each section of it can also be an article or a blog that's posted to LinkedIn, to Twitter threads, to Reddit as posts. So just writing the description below and recording this 30-minute video is, again, over 20 pieces of content. Now, I've planned that out. And if you start to shoot content in a way where you can plan that out ahead of time, you're going to be able to take it and push it everywhere. And all you really need to do is start time blocking your recording. For me, for instance, I know that this video starts with a 2-minute intro. Then at 2 minutes, 12 minutes, and 22 minutes, I'm starting a new topic. That way it's easy to cut. That way everything is uniform all the time. And it becomes really, really easy to rinse and repeat this workflow without having to think about it. And there's a format to all the text below so that it makes it really easy to repurpose. Now, with all that being said, that process is, of course, having that time block out and then setting up templates that let you know, great, there's a 2-minute intro, cut that. There's a 10-minute, 10-minute, 10-minute. Great. Inside of those 10 minutes, maybe then somebody can go in and say, here's a great section. We're going to grab this 45 seconds to a minute and a half, drop it in the captions app, chop it up, take out the dead spaces, and then try to get it under a minute. So then that's a TikTok, that's an Instagram reel, that's a Facebook reel, that's a YouTube short, that's a Pinterest idea pin. And this 130-minute video becomes a ton of content. Now you might be saying, well, I don't make 30-minute videos. I don't need to do all that stuff. I'm just trying to sell X, Y, or Z in my mousetrap to more people, and that's fine. You don't have to. But who's to say that making long-form content isn't a good idea for your brand? You could focus on making one 30-minute video or 10-minute video, and out of it getting dozens and dozens of pieces of content. You could chop those up in different ways. You could edit them, put them in different orders. You could edit them and focus on different pain points. You could edit them and use those interstitials with other pieces of media that you have and create a ton of things. And that's really the secret power here when you're planning on breaking down bigger pieces to smaller chunks, is each one of them can also work with each other. So the best part about this is having a plan when you go into it on how to disperse all of this information. Now, the example I'm giving here is in the informational stuff, but let's take it for an e-commerce brand like my clothing business. We could easily record 15, 20 video segments of people using the product, talking about the product, UGC, user reviews. Great. Now I can put all of those together. Maybe I get a 3, 4, 5-minute video from somebody talking about how much they love the product. Awesome. That's a widescreen video. Now I can take highlights of that are 15 seconds, 30 seconds a minute. Great. I've got maybe 5 or 10 short form videos. If I get that person to also tell me how they feel about it, I can transcribe that, and now I've got an article that they've written for me. I can then take that article that they've written for me and chop it up into a whole bunch of smaller pieces that work great for captions and headline tests and copy for my Facebook ads, etc. I can also now take that person's video and 10 other people's video and compartmentalize them into little sections and then put those together in a million different ways. If you get 3 or 4 influencers giving you videos, you could probably have 50 to 100 ads off of just that. And not just ads, but also organic content. So you can put in the static image that's a still from the video or them posting that along with it. You can take those edits and put them together in a plethora of different ways so that it looks and feels organic on different social media platforms. You can make ads out of it, like I said, but you can also make long form content. You can storytell with it. You can also have yourself talking a little bit through something and then just putting up multiple pieces. We can do what we call supercuts, where you take all of the UGC and you put them together so that they themselves tell big stories. This is extremely common. And when you take that and you put it together with a few of the things that you might have done yourself, you can have an endless supply of content. And you start making them using these other tools to schedule it all out. You can post it onto one platform and have that power the content for every other platform. For instance, you might make everything natively for YouTube and for TikTok. And from that, you're going to have content for YouTube. So you're going to have the long form content for YouTube will go out to YouTube. You can also use a tool like StreamYard to blast that out so that you go live on LinkedIn and Facebook groups and on Twitter and every other channel. That long form content also with the description below provides you the opportunity to make blogs and write articles and have short form written content that you can post around, say on Reddit or other places. And then those videos that you're making, those can all be put together. If you're making stuff on TikTok, that can also be stripped and used natively, just direct pull, reposted along with that text being reformatted to YouTube and Pinterest and Snapchat and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. And it doesn't take much more work than using the right tool and having a plan when you get started to properly deploy all of these things. And probably one or two of them you should focus on doing really well, and then have everything else downstream that's powered by doing one of those platforms exceptionally well. Me, I do YouTube and TikTok for what I'm doing, and it powers everything else, like a dozen channels with multiple pieces of content every single day. And don't be afraid to just use the same content more than once. Because if somebody saw your content a month ago, do you think they're going to remember it? And if they followed you yesterday, do you think they saw something you did 3 weeks ago? Probably not. Again, if you have any questions on this stuff, comment below. If you like this kind of information, you want more of it, hey, hit subscribe, hit like, sign up for the newsletter at newsletter.facebookdisruptor.com. And if you really want to level things up and take this organic and paid and take you to the level you really deserve, check out the MBA program. Now, the last thing that we're going to cover here is the repurposing of content. For the purpose of this lesson today, I think it's extremely important that I potentially walk you through an example workflow. How do I turn one 30-minute video into 20 pieces of content? And it's a thing that takes me maybe an hour so that I can have my social media content for the next week off of 30 minutes of recording, maybe the next month. What is my process to maximize the use of my time to amplify the success of every one of my channels? Let's break down this exact video and what I'm going to do over the next week or so to make it as fruitful as possible. Step one, I'm recording this video right now and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. Step two, I'm going to write an article where I've got a short description. Check out in the captions below and you'll be able to see all of this. There's going to be a short description, maybe a paragraph, and then a bunch of links so you can join the newsletter, check out MBA program. You can check out all my social medias, all of that fun stuff. And then below that, each chapter of this is going to have a header and then its own 3 to 5 paragraph description. Now, that one video goes out. Great. I'm also going to have this video chopped up to each chapter in the video. Remember, 2 minutes, 12 minutes, 22 minutes. So I now have 3 videos that are shorter form, still over 8 minutes long, so I can get those YouTube ads in there and get that revenue, but also so that people don't want to necessarily watch the whole thing. They just want to see the one chunk. Great. This video will probably go out on a Sunday, and then the Monday, Wednesday, Friday of the week following, we're going to have these clips go out on those days. Now, each one of those clips is going to also be able to edit the description of the video. So it only includes the description for that one clip that corresponds to that one chapter of this actual video. Great. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do with that is also take out little chunks of time. If there's a great clip in there or 2-3 minutes here or there in aggregate, and I can take that and I can make TikTok videos. That TikTok video, I'll use Captions app to chop out the ums and the ahs and the open spaces in time and throw text on the screen to make it engaging if the sound is off. And that can be repurposed to Instagram, YouTube, Shorts, Facebook Reels, also Pinterest idea pins, and go to Twitter and LinkedIn. That's excellent. That's huge. That's great disbursement. Also, those articles that I mentioned, Well, they're also going to be posted. This video will go live on a Sunday. That Monday, the article, the description to this video is going to go live as a post in multiple Reddit boards. It's also going to go live in Utopia for my man Wiz of Ecom. It's also going to go live in several mastermind Slack groups that I have. It's also going to go live in YouTube, because all I'm doing is literally copying the description, dropping it in, and the link to the video. So I'm auto-populating content every Monday. Now, the next step to this is one that I think is super fun. What I'll do is I will take that description, I'll drop it into a tool called Typefully.app. That Typefully.app will take that whole description and make it a Twitter thread. Yeah, it's going to be a Twitter thread, and it's going to format it entirely on its own. Now, I might have to change a few words and adjust some characters, but I can take that YouTube description and make it a Twitter thread in about 15 minutes. Cool. So now every Monday morning, there's a Twitter thread that's going to go out, and it'll probably be delayed by maybe a month. So I drop this out on a Sunday. In 3 or 4 weeks, this is going to go live as a Twitter thread. Maybe faster, who knows, whatever I feel like doing that day. Now that Twitter thread is going to be, generally speaking, about 10 to 15 tweets long, because I know how long the description has to be within the 5,000 characters, what it's ultimately going to be inside of Twitter. Now that Twitter thread gets pinned to the top of mine, and I basically am dropping the how-to manual, but it's literally just the description to the video that you're watching right now. Then what I'm going to do during the week is I'm going to go into that Twitter thread, and I'm going to make a video where I effectively use that original tweet in that thread and read it off like a script, adding a little bit of color, and then quote tweeting that original tweet and writing a little bit extra. So that I'm taking that original thread, and I'm basically using, say it's 10 tweets. I'm going to make 10-minute long videos or so. And in the afternoon, I'll probably do it immediately following this. Sometimes I change my shirt, sometimes I don't. And now that is a video piece of content where the description to this video is the script for that one. And I write a little bit more of context to it. That's making an additional 10 videos. What do you think I'm going to do with those additional 10 videos? Well, there's going to be a comping effort of every one of those videos getting put into another YouTube video of itself, where all the description for this video goes on the screen right here, and all of those additional descriptions that I'm using when I'm writing tweets in the quote tweet of my original thread now goes in the description of that video. And every one of those actual quote tweets in that 1-minute video, they're all getting posted on TikTok. I'm editing them with Captions app. And, of course, I already have the description because it's already in the tweets. I can use the quote tweet text as a description to that thing. So now I've got a series of content on TikTok that's easy to manage because it's all coming from the script that I've already written. And it's already a coherent thought because it originally comes from this YouTube video. So maybe I get 4 or 5 longer form pieces of content there. Now, if they're under a minute, great. If they're over a minute, they might not appear as YouTube shorts. That's fine, because TikTok will let me run up to 3 minutes. And that'll also go as a Facebook and Instagram reel. Maybe that also gets blasted out back to Twitter. Maybe that also goes to LinkedIn. Of course, it's also going to YouTube. So now there's one piece of content that I'm recording right now becomes legitimately 50 or 60 pieces of content with the videos and the writing. And the honest truth is, I record this video, then maybe later today or tomorrow, I'll effectively read off the description after I put it through Typefully, and I'll spend another 5, 10 minutes, maybe 15, probably 15, 20 minutes actually, because it'll be enough time, and I want them to all be a minute, shooting videos for that. So I basically spent about 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, I have effectively created 1 or 2 pieces of content per minute. Every one of them SEO optimized. Every one of them is easily distributed through Publer and Repurpose.io to any of a dozen different platforms. And because I already took the time to write that one little article, which honestly, I can talk into my phone to give a 3 to 5 paragraph description. I now have blog content and article content on every single segment of this video that can go up and take days to itemize out. As a matter of fact, it'll probably take 5 to 6 days, the original article, the tweet thread that comes out of it, the breakdown of each section of this, plus the additional writing that goes along with the quote tweets of each thread, and the repurposing of that in shorter forms from TikTok. I now have over a week's worth of content natively from each one, which means if I do it every single week, say it's 10 to 12 days of content that I'm creating every time I make a video like this. If I make this video every single week, it means that I now have a rotating cast of at least 2 pieces of content every single day, natively for every single channel, in a way that takes me maybe 30 to 45 minutes a week to ultimately do the repurposing of, or I can use the software and have an assistant do it. And if I format my text properly and I plan out the delivery and deployment strategically into time blocking this stuff, I will have very little errors and everything will look and feel the same in a way that makes people want to come back and see more of my content. That's easy. You can start doing that right now. And there's no reason you can't take that formula and put it towards selling dog beds or makeup or your coaching program. I've done it for years doing that. Take your UGC content, your influencer content, the brand owner, anything you got, and you can put this all together. It's extremely easy. The point is, I'm giving you one extremely specific example to show you the opportunities that you can have if you start thinking about your content creation, not as what am I going to post tomorrow, but instead, what's one thing I can make that will allow me to create as many additional posts as possible so that I can have ongoing conversations through my content with my customer base. That's the trick. If you enjoyed this stuff and you're still watching it, go ahead, do me a favor, tap the like, hit subscribe, smash the buttons, ask questions below. Let me know if you like something. Just drop a comment. Even if you did like it, be like, that was awesome. Thank you so much. It means the world and it really, really helps. YouTube thinks you might like a couple of these videos over here. Again, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye.